Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our special live show to commemorate the birth of Imam Al Jawad. Thank you all to our viewers for all your support, for all of your comments, for all of your likes, sharing our episodes on all platforms of social media, and thank you for all those who have kindly donated towards Imam Hussein TV. Without you, we cannot continue to make these programs. Inshallah, it's a quick reminder that the gala dinner is very, very close by. We are selling tickets, so they're going fast. If you would like to join, and you can come here, there will be a 3-course meal, there will be some fundraising, there will be an auction. We have some great gifts and goods all the way from the holy city of Karbala. And of course, we have Dr. Ammar Nakshawani there. He'll be giving a speech, and inshallah, you will have an opportunity to meet him as well. Tickets are going very, very fast. For information, please visit us on Imam Hussein TV, and inshallah, you can secure your ticket there. This show, inshallah, not like your ordinary. We have a special show, a special discussion in regards to Imam Al Jawad. And also later we'll be joined by a guest, Sajid Ali Dinner, inshallah, who will bless us with his voice, with some poetry, inshallah. But back to the man of the moment, Imam Al Jawad, the 9th Imam. Some describe him as the greatest blessing to the Ahlul Bayt. 25 years on this earth, short, yet filled with so many wonderful lessons. Sadly, some of our communities neglect the life of Imam Al Jawad, and some may even argue that we neglect many of the later Imams. Inshallah, tonight let us increase our ma'arifah and let us dive into the legacy left behind by Imam Al Jawad, inshallah. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is none other than Dr. Ammar Nakshawani. Assalamu alaikum, Doctor.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening?
Fantastic introduction.
Congratulations to you on the auspicious occasion of the birth of Imam Al Jawad.
Well, congratulations goes out to all of our viewers on Imam Hussein TV. I know that many are a bit wary of going to their mosques because of the coronavirus that has affected people worldwide, and we pray for everybody out there.
Indeed.
But it's amazing how, I suppose, if you can't reach the mosque, then there are media platforms that can now reach your living rooms. And so hopefully tonight, we could take our hearts to Kadhmain or Jawadain and get closer to Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam.
Quick reminder to all our viewers, we are taking in questions, but only on WhatsApp. So if you have a question for the Sayyid, please WhatsApp us, and inshallah, we'll get your question answered by the Sayyid, inshallah. Sayyidina, you were mentioning that, people not going to the mosque and so forth, but many people do go to the mosque on these birthdays. Now, are there any hadiths that we have in terms of how to celebrate and how to display our happiness with the birthdays of the prophets, the birthdays of the imams, considering that sometimes, let's be honest, our children have better birthday parties than some of our significant holy figures in Islam. I
think you're 100% right. I think part of my upbringing, and I would say a major part of my success, was the instilling of the love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam through the occasions of celebration and the moments of commemoration. Those who grew up in my generation in London will vouch for the fact that we'd go to our mosques not just if it was a program in the weekend. If it was a case of a mosque having a program, for example, even on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and it was the wilada of Imam Al Jawad, I would say that was seen as much of a celebration in the eyes of my parents as was the wilad of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now what's interesting, Sunday you'll have everybody remembering Imam Ali alayhi salam. Yes. There are people, as soon as Rajab comes, you'll see them talk of the 13th of Rajab. But people don't mention the 10th, people don't mention Imam Al-Hadi, they don't mention Imam Al Jawad, who have important occasions in this month. And we need a balance in our celebrating the glorious, happy moments in the history of the Ahlul Bayt, as well as commemorating the sad ones. One of Imam Al and Imam Al Jawad's companions was the famous Ibn al-Shabib. You would have heard of him. And there are these narrations which Ibn al-Shabib narrates from Imam Al alayhi salam, which many of us bring in the month of Muharram, talking about the merits of Ziyarat al-Hussein, the importance of holding on to the wilayah of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. But there's one particular narration which highlights the balance that's needed. That as lovers of Ahl al-Bayt, we should celebrate in their times of happiness. يا ابن الشبيب إن سرك أن تكون معنا في الدرجات العلى من الجنان فاحزن لحزننا وافرح لفرحنا. O son of Shabib, if it is something which brings you pleasure to be with us in the heavens, then be sad in our times of sadness, but be happy and in a celebrative mood in our times of happiness. That means that on the days that we, for example, lost beloved ones, whether it's Ashura or the Shahadat of the Imams alayhi salam, then those are days of sadness. Go to the mosque, you'll see people knowing exactly how to commemorate, wearing black, for example. You'll see people, for example, in a more somber mood on that night. You'll see people shedding tears on that. But he doesn't stop there. What he says to him, إن سرك أن تكون معنا في الدرجات العلى من الجنان فاحزن لحزننا وافرح لفرحنا. But also enjoy our moments of happiness. Celebrate our moments of happiness. The same way when I find out that friends of mine, for example, are having a birthday party for their 2-year-old or for their 4-year-old, and they've made sure they've gone all out in that birthday party. The cake is the best cake. The balloons are everywhere. Even sometimes the bouncy castles are there. People have bought different types of toys. They've gone all out. Why? Because there is an expression of love on a day which they feel is an important day for them and for their whole family and for their friends. And I think likewise when it comes to our mosque, sometimes when you look at the program the mosque is holding for someone like Imam Al Jawad, you'll see it says lecture at this time. Then for example it might say a small qasida or a small, let's say, nasheed is read.
Yes.
And then there might be a small dish given and people go home. The children don't necessarily feel the celebration that should be felt at that moment. The children should feel that whenever I'm going to a wilaya, that's going to be the best occasion. It's the occasion where you can dress the nicest. It's the occasion where people are all in the best of, the happiest mood. There might be prizes, quizzes. There might be, for example, food which is laid out so everyone can sit together. I think these things are needed more than ever now. Even in my position lecturing on that night, I still believe that I might be part of the whole system of organization for that night and the importance of its success. But I think someone who, for example, comes and recites a nasheed or somebody who comes and gives quizzes or prizes is just as important, because it makes you leave with that balance that, my school is not just an emotional school where you cry the whole year, even though there is a benefit and a catharsis feeling which emerges from the human being that's needed. But I think at the same time, there needs to be celebration of these nights as well.
Let's go towards Imam Al Jawad. Now, looking at Imam Al Jawad, his early life, his birth, one could say eventful yet turbulent start to his life, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think it's a turbulent start for sure, because his father, one may argue, has a son elder at an age which is older than any of the Imams before him.
Okay. In
the sense that when you look at Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he had Imam al-Hassan in his life, Imam Ali at the time was around 24. And you look at the other Imams, they're having sons or daughters in their 20s. Whereas Imam al-Rada alayhi salam, his wife gives birth to Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam when Imam al-Rada's in his 40s.
Wow.
So there were already question marks to Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, where people were saying, well, where's your son, where's your successor? And then to add to that, Imam Al Jawad was seen as having a complexion that was darker than what was known as the complexion of the Arabs of the time. And so certain people started to question, are we going to have an Imam who, for example, is of a certain African look? Because it's interesting that the Imams marry these ladies from Northwest Africa. And so some have argued that even when you come to the later Imams, there's a possibility that the 12th Imam, may Allah hasten his reappearance, that the 12th Imam may be somebody who is of what's known as an African complexion. And for some this was unacceptable. It may even be unacceptable for some now who claim to love the Ahlul Bayt. But in those early years there were certainly amongst the Shia some who were questioning that, you know, what's happening over here? This person is not necessarily the same color as us. And these things were there in those early years. Yeah.
So Imam Al Jawad, he becomes an Imam at 8 years old. Now, I want to focus on this here because 8 years old, an Imam, you know, can he lead the Jama'ah? Is he allowed to, do his deeds? Because he's not really Balugh according to Islamic law. So an 8-year-old Imam, think about it. He's 8 years old. How has he got enough knowledge? Is he qualified? Islamically speaking, when we look at our Maraja, when Islamically speaking, a male becomes a man, he's 14, 15.
Sure.
And there's certain criteria. An 8-year-old can fulfill this criteria?
It's a very good question, and I think it's one that definitely is raised. Imam Al Jawad was 8 when he became the Imam of the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So you have Shia and non-Shia who ask this question. How can an 8-year-old lead a whole school? Now, non-Shia already don't believe in the concept of imamah.
Correct.
They believe that they have imams like Abu Hanifa or Malik bin Anas or Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i or Ahmad bin Hanbal, but they don't believe that these people, for example, are infallible. And nor do they believe that these people have knowledge which is inspired by God.
Indeed.
They say that their knowledge, for example, is husuli, it's acquired, rather than an immediate type of ilham, for example. Now, so when they hear that we have an imam who became an imam at 8, they raise questions. How could you believe in an imam at the age of 8? Then you have, for example, in our own school, people ask this question as well, that Imam Ali alayhi salam, for example, when he was announced on the day of Ghadir, was 33. Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam, for example, when he became an imam, was 20. So you find that there are people even within the school of Ahlul Bayt who say, hold on, a 33-year-old I understand. A 20-year-old I understand. But a person becoming imam at the age of 8, how? Now, of course, after him, Imam Al-Hadi also becomes imam at that age. And as we know with Imam Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Farajahu Sharif, how old is Imam Al-Mahdi when he becomes imam? Ahsantum, 5 years of age. So now we have this question. A question that hither to that point. Now, you said earlier, Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam said the greatest blessing for the Ahlul Bayt was the birth of Imam Al Jawad. And according to some ulama, the reason is because of this. Is because with the presence of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam, Imamat emerges clearly, more than ever before, as authority and designation from the heavens, which is given to a select group of people who Allah knows where best to place His message, who are the most knowledgeable. For Adam, in his criteria for being above everybody, was that he had knowledge which the angels did not have.
Yes.
And are able to spiritually guide you like nobody else can. That combination of ilm, nas, and asma. If anyone ever asks me to define imamah, nas, designation, ilm, their knowledge is beyond anyone around them, and asma, infallibility. Now, someone might say, yes, but for someone to be the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the earth, he has to be For example, baligh. We have many laws in Islam where a person has to be baligh. For example, you expect the one who is leading salah, baligh. When you start, for example, having certain wajibat on you in life, you have to be adolescent. Adolescent in the sense that there are certain laws which apply to an adolescence on the physical and an adolescence on the intellectual. So if you differentiate adolescence on the physical, I have to start praying the moment I'm adolescent, I have to fast. On the intellectual, you may find someone who does become baligh, for example, who's an orphan. They become baligh, but they don't have the capacity to look after the inheritance that's been left behind for them by their family. So that, in that case, they may not have the intellectual maturity to be able to look after that. And you may find that the jurist is the one who looks after their funds until they get to an intellectual capacity or maturity. Now, so people will say, hold on a minute. So you're saying to me that somebody who's not even baligh led the religion of Islam according to the Shia worldview? How do we reply? First, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us there are exceptions to the rule. Where sometimes you may have somebody, forget bulugh, he hasn't even reached a week old.
MashaAllah.
Imagine I told you someone in Islam called himself a Nabi. And he wasn't even a week old. You'll say, no. Prophets, Nabi Musa 40, the Holy Prophet 40, other prophets were living till 900, 1000. Don't tell me that there was a prophet of God who said, Ja'alani Nabiya, and he wasn't even a week old. And I'll say to you, hold on a minute, Jesus, son of Mary. Because for a Muslim to turn around to me today and say to me, how could you have an Imam who's an 8-year-old? I'll be like, hold on a minute, you believed in a prophet who spoke from the cradle. In the Quran, in the chapter of Maryam, we find the verse very clear where Jesus from the cradle says, قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. He said, I am the servant of Allah. Don't call me anything else. I'm not God. I'm not the Son. I am a servant of Allah. آتَانِيَ الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. He has given me the book and made me a prophet. Atani al-Kitab, the Evangel, the Injil, whatever you want to put as the definition of Kitab, according to the different tafasir, we have somebody in Quranic exegesis, a conclusion is reached that somebody is a prophet of God, speaking from the cradle with full authority, and not just talking about the fact that he's a prophet. وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. And he has enjoined upon me salah and zakat while I'm alive. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. And he has enjoined upon me to be righteous to my mother. I ask all the Muslims, this prophet of Allah that we talk about, none of you question. They said, oh, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he wants to, he can let a prophet speak from the cradle. So why can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not inspire an 8-year-old to have all the knowledge to serve his religion and to serve his creation? Likewise in the Quran, Prophet Yahya alayhi salam, when the Quran says, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا. Sabi, how old? 7?
Yes.
Nobody had a question mark on Nabi Yahya when the Quran said, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ. And there are different tafasir for hukmah, but one of the tafasir is, we gave him authority. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have easily said, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ. That's it. Why does he say, وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا?
Mentions the age.
Again, mentioning the age. There's no criteria for when God chooses. It's what is needed for that time, that place. Did any Muslim say that Yahya should not be a person of authority at the age of 7? They said, no, Allah knows best where to place his risala. Did any Muslim say, how could a baby speak from the cradle? And we're proud to tell the Christian world that we believe in a Christ who spoke from the cradle. So why then when it comes to Imam Al Jawad? And that's why I'm not surprised when the likes of Sheikh Al Saduq, when they compile certain books, like Kamal ad-Din and others, when they compile them, the aim of the compilation is to highlight that there are certain miracles or exceptions that occurred with the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when you know they've occurred with them, why do you question it when it happens with an imam? When you know a prophet's gone in ghaiba, why do you question it when an imam goes in ghaiba? When you know a prophet was given authority at a young age, why do you question it when an imam is given authority at a young age? When you know a prophet, for example, is being given ilm at a young age, why do you question it when an imam is being given ilm at a young age? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants to, He is able to provide that knowledge. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. He's able to allow a person to go into the ghaib, like He allowed Isa and Idris and Khidr and others to go into the ghaib. So yes, Prophet Isa and Prophet Yahya alayhi salam.
Excellent. Saying that, apart from Hazrat Isa and Hazrat Yahya, are there any other examples we could use?
I think we can use, for example, an example which actually Imam Al Jawad himself used. Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam used the example of Nabi Sulaiman with Nabi Dawood. You know, in the incident which I discussed in the Holy Ramadan series, The Prophets in the Quran, yes, which we had on Imam Hussein TV, we discussed Prophet Dawood and Sulaiman, where there were sheep that grazed in someone's vineyard, and they ate the grapes of that particular person's vineyard. So that person went to complain to Nabi Dawood. Now, Nabi Dawood alayhi salam is not just a religious leader, he's a political leader. And so people would go to him for advice, for example, seeking to see what his answers were on religion. And Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, very interestingly, not only does he give his answer, but he also very, very interestingly gives the chance for Nabi Sulaiman to answer. Nabi Dawood alayhi salam says, in my opinion, the sheep that went into this person's vineyard, the owner of those sheep should give the sheep to the owner of the vineyard. Yes. Nabi Sulaiman said he should give the sheep to the owner of the vineyard for a certain period of time until that person has made profit back from those sheep. Yes. Then he can return, for example, those sheep back to the original owner. And the Quran, of course, says that we took Sulaiman's. Sulaiman was how old at that time? Again, nobody says, how comes Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam had authority? Because what was Nabi Dawood really doing? Nabi Dawood was really just trying to show that this is the authority, yes, that Nabi Sulaiman has at this young age, and he is my successor. Yes. In other words, in the Quran, Nabi Isa, Nabi Yahya, and I'd like to make this point that, you know, sometimes people say there's sexism, there's feminism, there's racism. We're not ageist. There are some Muslims who believe some people in Islamic history were too young to lead. That they say because someone's older than them, he should be the leader of the Muslims. We don't want to go to that ageism. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala believes is fit to lead the school, that's enough for us.
Fantastic. Sayyid, you mentioned, you know, great arguments and great evidences, but these all work with Muslims. What about non-Muslims? And especially if a non-Muslim was to say, how can such a young boy have so much knowledge? How are we meant to refute such arguments?
Well, I think there are what are known as child prodigies. And these child prodigies are children who have the label genius next to them. I remember years back when there was this young boy came from Qom. His name was Tabatabai.
Yes, I remember him.
You could literally say a line of the Holy Quran and he could finish the page off for you.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Or you could say a line from Nahj al-Balagha and he could finish the sermon for you.
MashaAllah.
Extraordinary. The time he was like 4 years old. There are human beings who are 30 who behave like 5-year-olds. And there are human beings who are 20 who behave like they have more wisdom than anyone around them. It happens. It's not always a direct correlation, especially if God intervenes. But for that non-Muslim, you look at, for example, when you're looking at the personalities such as Pascal talking of vibrating bodies at a young age, Picasso's paint at a young age, others who are multiplying 3-digit numbers by 3-digit numbers and giving you the answer within 3 seconds. You could go now to MIT or Harvard and ask them about their child prodigies in the worlds of technology, information technology, mathematics, engineering. They will give you names of children who are 11, 12, who are geniuses. So if a non-Muslim comes to me and says that how can this be the case, I'll turn around and say, well, we've had enough child geniuses and prodigies. Why would we be surprised if we don't see another one who was a genius in his own right? But it's not just about being a genius. We do believe that they are also embedded with the ability to guide mankind towards God on a spiritual level as well.
Excellent. Sayyidina, I get this question asked a lot, and sometimes I have difficulty answering it. Is how do the Imams gain ilm? Are they born with it? Is it attained later? Are they supposed to have infinite knowledge?
Well, I don't think there's one answer for how Imams gain knowledge. And I think the same can be applied with prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A prophet of Allah gains knowledge sometimes through a dream. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Which prophet gained knowledge in a dream, for example?
I think Hazrat Dawood used to have dreams.
Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. So sometimes the dream may be a revelation for you, and that may be a form of knowledge. And some of the prophets would receive the angel Gabriel. So now we have dream, we have the angel Gabriel, sometimes direct inspiration to the heart. I think with the Imams as well, while Wahi stopped with the Holy Prophet, peace be upon his family, direct inspiration in the form of ilham, gaining of knowledge in the form of kasb, for example, from learning from one Imam, passing knowledge to another Imam. So you have inspiration, you have the gaining of knowledge from one Imam to another Imam, originally with the Prophet, peace be upon his family, when he said, I am the city of wisdom and Ali is its gates, and people are then learning from Imam Ali alayhi salam onwards. Okay, so these are different forms of knowledge that they have, let alone certain artifacts or certain texts which are transferred with them, which are sources of knowledge, which we can discuss on another occasion, such as Mus'haf Fatima or Kitab Ali, amongst others. Yeah.
Do you think any Shias would actually have issues with this, considering that, the Imams don't have complete knowledge, or that they had to gain later?
No, complete knowledge is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses certain people who He gives portions of His knowledge to. That story of Asif bin Barkhiya bringing the Queen of Sheba's throne, and the story of Sulaiman, that person had 1 out of 73 portions that are shared. And Allah shares different portions of ilm with different chosen messengers of His, or different chosen Imams. And there is no surprise when, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, says, I'm the city of wisdom and Ali is its gate. I don't think any other companion received that honor of being called the gate to the Prophet in terms of wisdom, which would entail knowledge of the metaphysical, the cosmological, the ethical, the psychological, and the spiritual.
Excellent. Sayyidina, back to Imam Al Jawad. He's 8 years old. The tyrant, the Khalifa at the time, I believe it's Ma'mun Abbasid, he kills his father. And next thing we know, he wants to marry his daughter off to the Imam, and he wants to be his father-in-law. A little bipolar, don't you think? I mean, what's killing the father, now he wants his daughter to marry the son?
I wouldn't call it bipolar necessarily. We'd call it political acumen. These people politically, I think, knew that there were certain personalities they needed to get on their side. From Al-Ma'mun with Imam Al-Rada, and then Al-Ma'mun with Imam Al Jawad. Al-Ma'mun knew that the Alid vote was important. The Alid sympathies had given problems to the Abbasids, although they were all first, second cousins. And so, he thinks to himself, listen, this person is not just an Imam at the age of 8. I need him around me. I need to keep an eye on him. And so, it seems like someone's bipolar when they're like, I'm going to poison the father, but I'm going to make sure that, you're marrying my daughter. And even some of the people were baffled. Some of the people were actually baffled when they heard news that Al-Ma'mun says that my daughter, Al-Fadl, is going to marry Muhammad bin Ali. They think, hold on a minute, you had problems with with Ali ibn Musa at the end of his life, and now you want to be the father-in-law of Muhammad bin Ali. But political acumen dictates that there are certain political marriages where you don't necessarily do them out of love, but you do them because you're thinking about future.
So, I mean, you mentioned that not out of love, out of future. Technically, you could say this is like forced marriage, and especially if the Imam has knowledge of this. I thought forced marriages aren't allowed in Islam. It's not even valid according to fiqh. But here's an example of a forced marriage.
Yeah, I don't think the girl is forced.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I think the Imam is forced. Yeah, I don't think the girl herself is forced. The girl, because sometimes in the media when we hear about forced marriages, we do hear cases where unfortunately certain Muslims, and therefore people will say they represent the whole of Islam when they really don't. But there are cases where certain Muslims will, for example, force their daughters to marry someone they don't love, they've never met, and it really is sad when you hear the stories. But in this case, the girl is not forced. In the sense that, why would the girl, not be interested? Yeah. Of course, these marriages are consummated not there and then. They'll be consummated later, but you will find that these cases sadly do exist, where some girls are forced. In this case, no. Imam is forced. The Imam has no alternative. The Imam there and then, if he doesn't give in to what the Abbasid Khalifa wants, then poison is around the corner, and the way it was around the corner for his father.
Yeah. I see. And also, Sayyidina, the nikah that we have, especially in the mosque, this is all down to Imam Al Jawad's khutbah, is it not?
Yes, the nikah, the Akkad that you hear Mawlanas recite in our masajid is actually from Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. When you hear the Mawlanas and you've got the bride and groom getting ready for their big day, and you hear the Mawlana say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah iqraran bi ni'matih, wa la ilaha illallah ikhlasan li wahdaniyatih, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin sayyid bariyatih, wal asfiya min itratih. فقد كان من فضل الله على الأنام أن أغناهم بالحلال على الحرام، حيث قال في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنكحوا الأيام منكم والصالحين من عبادكم وإمائكم إن يكونوا فقراء يغنيهم الله من فضله والله واسع عليم. So when you see the Mawlanas in our mosques, when they recite this khutbah of nikah, and the khutbah is really a beautiful khutbah, it really is. Because first and foremost, you're thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this big day. Many of us on that big day, we forget to thank certain important people. Our parents, in some cases, we forget them. You forget those people who've worked hard for you to make that big day a wonderful day. And I think also why we have some a'mal that tell us at the end of that big day, do a 2 rak'ah salah, because Alhamdulillah iqraran bi ni'matih wa la ilaha illallah ikhlasan li wahdaniyatih. First and foremost, I recognize all these blessings that I have are from my Lord. And if it wasn't for the belief in my Lord, I would not be where I am. And then after that, I recognize the greatness of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family, and the pure ones from his progeny. And then after that, I again recognize the blessings of God on all of humanity, that He guided me towards a method of relation where rights are observed and where halal is to be protected ahead of that which is haram. And that God says in the Quran that you marry off the single ones from amongst you. If they are poor, we will make them rich. So that khutbah in the Akkad or in the nikah ceremony that you see you're invited to in the mosques, that is when Imam Al Jawad recited it in his own. And that's why when you're getting married in the mosques, you can either recite the khutbah or let a Mawlana be your wakil. So sometimes, for example, if I'm the wakil, if I represent, let's say, the bride, I might, for example, have a case where she'll say, no, I want to be the one who says my part. Or I might say, أنكحت موكلتي, for example, من موكلك أو لموكلك على المهر المعلوم وعلى الصداق المعلوم. And there you had the mahar as well. And the mahar was the mahar of Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. So Imam Al Jawad, a lot of what we do in our weddings today is actually from Imam Al Jawad's khutbah in his wedding, and the mahar from his wedding. And many people, sadly, when they get married, don't realize that this came from Imam Al Jawad. And I think a person has to not only realize this, but also understand the translation of what's being said in that khutbah.
Excellent. Sayyidina, when it comes to engagements, some people do the nikah there and then, and sometimes they'll do a temporary marriage, a mut'ah, for the couple to get to know one another and then proceed. Would you like, from your personal experience and what you've seen within the community, what do you think is the best thing to do?
Well, I think if you look at, for example, the Iraqi community, in my experience with the Iraqi community, when two people get engaged, straight away they do an Akkad or a nikah. Problem is, if those two break up in the engagement, then it becomes a divorcee,
Yes.
a divorced couple, even though they have never lived together. But because they did an Akkad, then they're automatically put in the title of being divorced. I've seen in, for example, the Khawaja community, that they will do a temporary marriage for that period for them to get to know one another. And in that temporary marriage, in that period that they get to know one another, you'll have the case of the father of the bride saying, okay, you two can get to know each other the next 3 months. I'll put restrictions on how much you can get to know one another, but to make it halal that you two can see each other. And if that breaks, they're not counted as divorced. So in Arab culture, if you tell them, well, instead of doing Akkad nikah, when they're engaged, leave the Akkad for the day of the wedding and say, no, engaged, Akkad. Okay, but what if the two break up 3 weeks later? They're counted as divorced.
Yes.
So you can use the temporary marriage when it comes to the engagement, and some use a complete Akkad nikah. Yeah.
So, Sayyidina, the wife that actually gives birth to Imam Hadi, I mean, is that the Khalif's wife, the one that married Imam Al Jawad? That's not the one that actually gives birth to the 10th Imam, is it?
There are certain ladies who are married to members of the Ahl al-Bayt, who we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they had no children. Because if those ladies were that vicious towards the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, then you imagine how their kids could be. Although sometimes the khabith does come out from the tayyib, and the tayyib comes out from the khabith. So like Ju'da, the wife of Imam al-Hasan, did not have any children. Likewise, al-Fadl did not have any children. Whereas you find when you research the life of Samana and others, you come towards the family of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we're going to go to a short break, and inshallah join us after the break. Inshallah our special guest will be joining us here on our commemorations and celebrations of Imam Al Jawad. See you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajul sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in two ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Hussein from London. We're very blessed to be in the holy land of Karbala. Please pray for us and pray for everyone who do wish to go.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I want to pay my respects to Imam Hussein and Maula Abbas from my parents, and I would like you to recite salam and ziyarah for Imam Hussein and Maula Abbas on my behalf.
السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين وأولاد الحسين وأصحاب الحسين وأنصار الحسين لبيك يا حسين لبيك يا غازي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته
وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Live in London on our special show here in honor of the birth of Imam Al Jawad. A quick congratulations, Mabruk, to all our viewers and the Muslim Ummah, not forgetting the Imam of our time on the grand birthday of his grandfather. And we'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our viewers and all the support. Apparently YouTube has gone ballistic. We've got so many people watching us live. We have to thank all those who support Imam Hussein TV. And for those of you who want to get involved and support our channel, we are a crowd-funded project. We don't have any sales of such or any products we sell. That we have, our channel is fully based on crowdfunding, and with your support, if you'd like to get involved, visit us at www.imamhussein3.tv, and inshallah there will be plenty of methods for you to come and support our channel. Inshallah, in a few weeks, at the end of the month, we'll be having our gala dinner. It's a great occasion for us to celebrate Imam Hussein's birthday, and a chance for us to meet you guys and also to show you our different projects and also the achievements that we've had over the last 9 years. Inshallah, I'll be there, and so is Dr. Ammar Nakshawani. We're going to have 3-course meals. There's going to be fundraising, plenty of prizes to give away, a charity auction. And inshallah, it would be fantastic if you guys could come and meet the whole team here at Imam Hussein TV, and what keeps us going and keeps us providing new programs and taking you towards the city of Karbala and to the message of the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. Now back to our discussion here on Imam Al Jawad, inshallah, with none other than Dr. Sayyid Ammar Nakshawani. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sayyid, now let me set the scene for you. So we've got Imam Al Jawad, 8 years old. The tyrant who has killed his father has now forced him to marry his daughter. 8-year-old, surely the ulama are just looking like, what's going on? This 8-year-old is the Imam. Why, Khalif, why are you marrying your daughter to this man? And Ma'mun Abbasid is probably mocked and shamed and just all in uproar.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily mocked. What I do think is that he himself knows what he's doing. But definitely the scholars of the time are wondering what's so profound about this 8-year-old. Because the question we're focusing on here is, this 8-year-old has the knowledge of the metaphysical and the cosmological and the spiritual guide for the whole madhab, and even in his opinion and the whole of this particular religion. They're thinking, no 8-year-old is that profound, you know?
Bewildered and such.
Yeah, so they're looking at it and they're thinking to themselves that, you know what, we're going to destroy this 8-year-old. And the scene is set. It's a very famous scene. And the scene is set for everybody to now come and witness, as if Moses and the magicians was alive again. But this time, Imam Al Jawad was representing Nubuwah. And the scholars of that time were trying to be magicians with their words. And what they did was very interesting, because they asked him this question. And I need our viewers to understand this. This is the 9th Imam of the 12 Shia. 8 years old, who was about to answer the questions of the contemporary scholars of his time. These scholars are fuqaha in every sense of the word. Fuqaha in the sense of jurist, as we have the terminology today, and fuqaha in the sense of deep understanding of the religion. But we said that an Imam of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam is one. The difference in their world of ilm is not husuli, it's huduri, it's an immediate knowledge. It's present there and then. And they're able to answer inspired by God. So I don't care if you're someone who studied at this fantastic college, it's different from someone who's inspired by God. Otherwise, prophets of Allah were not needed if we could all study books. Difference is, a prophet is someone chosen and guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they are all sitting there, and there's not just one of them. There's not just a one-on-one exam. There's hundreds of these guys sitting, and they want to see what the uproar is with an 8-year-old. These Shia say their Imam, this 8-year-old. Okay, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. When we ask these questions, let's see. So the famous question was, what is the kafara? Expiation, penalty, punishment, for someone who goes hunting while they are in the state of ihram.
Okay.
Now this isn't a question like, if I don't have a turba, what do I pray on? Those ones you'll be able to answer if you've been to, like, let's say, one question and answer session. This type of question is a question which is definitely one of those questions where you're going to have to know about kafara and the laws related to the kafara. You're going to have to know about the wearing of ihram and the laws of hunting. You know, in Surah Al-Ma'idah we have discussions about hunting, about the dog when it hunts, and the laws related to it. So this Yahya bin Aktham, renowned jurist, he asks this question. That what's the kafara for someone who goes hunting while they are in the state of ihram? Now, there are not many 8-year-olds around who can answer this, unless they've got a deep knowledge of jurisprudence at a very young age. And again, I may add a disclaimer here that you may get a child prodigy like that Taba'i child who may have been able to answer this, but he will not be able to answer questions on every single area of the life.
Yes.
Where someone inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will. So, what's the kafara for someone who goes hunting while in the state of ihram? Imam Al Jawad looks at Yahya bin Aktham, and this really shocks and shakes the Muslim empire. He says to him, the question you're asking is vague.
Wow.
Now, if I was sitting there and someone said to me, the question you asked is vague, I'll be like, oh, sorry, you haven't understood my question. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Someone says your question is vague. You know, oh, you haven't understood my question. No. It's not that I haven't understood your question. Ihram for Hajj or for Umrah
Wow.
Wild animal or normal animal? Daytime or nighttime? In Mecca, outside of Mecca? Knew the law, didn't know the da-da-da. This person, Yahya bin Aktham, was looking thinking, hold on a minute. My question's been ripped to pieces. You want to say shredded, destroyed. 8-year-old people suddenly realize this isn't a normal 8-year-old. Al-Ma'mun is laughing. Because what's Al-Ma'mun thinking? I've hit the jackpot.
I told you so.
I told you so. You guys made fun of him. But don't make fun of this, because Allah knows where to put his risala. Question, if Al-Ma'mun, you say Allah knows where to put his risala, why don't you give the caliphate to him? Because power. I'm not going to let go of that power. You can be within and surround me and so on. But really it was that moment where everyone realized not to be messed about with. Because when he turned the question around and he asked Yahya bin Aktham, let me ask you, someone who was not free in the beginning of the day, became free, then wasn't free, then became free, then wasn't free, then became free, then wasn't free, then became free. Give me the answer to that one. Yahya bin Aktham was baffled. And Imam Al Jawad went on to talk about how someone was a slave at the beginning of the day, then they got sold, then they got married, then they got... and so that person realized, you know what, the difference in knowledge is so great.
MashaAllah. Sayyidina, could you give us another example of where the 8-year-old Imam really showed his ilm and also showed his authority, to the people?
Well, I think there's numerous examples. There's one example where, for example, there's a group of anthropomorphists who believed in tajseem and they used to believe that Allah on the Day of Judgment will be seen. There are still Muslims in the world today who believe that Allah has a hand and that Allah sits on a throne and that on the Day of Judgment, on the basis of verses like وُجُوهُ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٍ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٍ in Surah Al-Qiyamah, they say that therefore Allah will be seen. And so when someone asks Imam Al Jawad, will Allah be seen? Imam Al Jawad says, the heart is a seat of imagination. It can imagine anything. If it can't even imagine how Allah looks like, how will the eye be able to perceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You imagine, we can imagine anything. True?
Yeah, true.
We can imagine anything. But when you say to someone, can you imagine God? Someone might say to you, well, you might find some who will say, God looks like an old man with a long white beard. Others will say, all I can think about is blue skies and white skies, something really... But nobody, even with the capacity of our imagination, we can't. So how will this eye, which is limited? Then you have another occasion, famous occasion, where he stamps his authority. In the Quran, as you know, in Surah 5, verse 38, there is the verse about cutting the yad.
Hand.
Is it hand? Is it arm? Because in English we have hand and arm.
Really?
In Arabic we have the word yad. وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. The male thief and the female thief cut their yad. Now, in English, if I say to you hand, you might refer to the lower part. If I say to you arm, you're referring to the
upper.
Whereas in Arabic, there was a question mark raised. And of course, when you go to the world of mantiq and usul al-fiqh, you'll find this discussion comes up about the zahir of the Quran, about, what dalil do you need to be able to reconcile, what different words mean different places, and so on. So, when you came to this particular ayah, someone had stolen and they came to the Khalif and they said to him, listen, you got to give a decision. Khalifa's like, well, what's the issue? They said, well, someone's stolen, we got to cut their yad. And it's like, well, do it. It's like, but we don't know where to do it from. It's like, what do you mean? Doesn't the Quran tell you? It says, well, the Quran says, وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَةُ فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. But we don't know. One school said here, another said here, another said here, another said here. So where do you cut the thief's hand from? And that's where the Ahlul Bayt come to their own. Because the Ahlul Bayt, firstly, the Quran was revealed in their house. There are houses where Allah's name is glorified where His nur used to enter. And the Ahlul Bayt, their house is the house of ta'wil and the house of tafsir. And the house of the nasikh and the mansukh. The house of the deeper meanings. And the layers of meanings. And the abrogated and knowledge of all the laws from the Quran. When they came to Imam Al Jawad, Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam said that you have to cut the fingers. Now, of course, first there are conditions. You don't just, someone steals from your house, don't just pick up a knife and cut their fingers. There are conditions. If there's a famine, there's a drought, there's poverty. In the Islamic State, you can't just cut someone's hand. But say, for example, someone knows all the laws and he still repeatedly steals and steals and steals. Some Islamic states go with that. Now, he said you cut the fingers. Why? He said because there's 7 places which are wajib for sujood. Your forehead, Your knees,
the
toes, and
the palms.
palms. If you cut this whole area here, then that means that person, if they did tawbah, can never go back and sujood again. Whereas if you cut the fingers, then the person can still pray. Because these are examples, and there are so many of them.
Fantastic. Sayyidina, how would you compare the amount of hadith left behind by Imam Al Jawad, or and his students? Let's say to someone like Imam Sadiq, his contribution towards the hadith.
Well, Imam Al Jawad lived till the age of 25, and Imam Al Sadiq lived till the age of 68. Now, so when we hear that Imam Sadiq had 4,000 students, Imam Al Jawad, I personally cannot find maybe more than 250 ahadith from Imam Al Jawad. But 250 ahadith compared to Imam Al Sadiq, who lived, nearly 3 times longer. And in circumstances, this is the main point, which were more favorable. Imam Al Sadiq's circumstances were a bit more favorable than Imam Al Jawad. Imam Al Jawad was under constant surveillance. Imagine, your father-in-law is already keeping an eye on what you do, let alone if he's the Khalifa. Yeah, but you had some remarkable companions of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. There was a book by Shabistari, Subul al-Rashad li Ashab al-Jawad, something along those lines, and that book lists, over 100 companions of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. And then you have others, Imam Al Jawad min al Mahdi al Lahd, for example, lists 270 companions of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. So there were a great number of companions, some very famous companions as well. When you go to Tahran, you go to Shah Abdul Azim Al Hassani. You go, for example, to the likes great companions like Ahmad bin Muhammad al Barqi, Ali bin Mahziyar. These are great companions of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam.
MashaAllah. And we won't really emphasize on this much, but he only lived for 25 years.
Yeah.
So don't you think this is like an example or like an emphasis on us gaining knowledge while we're young rather than when we're older?
Imam Ali and other Imams alayhi salam always mention, make use of your youth before your old age, your health before sickness. And I think that some of us in this day and age, when we see our health is affected constantly, viruses, diseases, ailments, make use of your healthy times before you go into difficult times. But for our youth to become like Imam Al Jawad, he only lived until the age of 25, but he left a legacy. And inshallah, our youth can leave that legacy as well.
Inshallah, Sayyidina, where can we read up on this legacy? Can you recommend any books, any text for those who want to research a little bit more into the legacy of Imam Al Jawad?
I think for beginners, who've just want to start reading on the biographies, I would say Sheikh Al-Mufid's Irshad, Kitab Al-Irshad, translated in English language by I.K.A. Howard. It's available online. It's the biography of the Imams. I would say as well, the dearly departed Baqir Sharif al-Qarashi is another great guide. He has the biography of Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. These, I think, would be 2 good places to start.
And also your own book you have on the 14 Infallibles.
Yeah, 14 Infallibles as well, my own work, which you can read on Imam Al Jawad as
Inshallah. Inshallah, we're going to go to a break now, and after the break we'll be joined by esteemed guest Sajid Ali Dinner, inshallah. Join us after the break for some nasheeds. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in 2 ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Live in London on our special episode here commemorating the birth of Imam Al Jawad. MashaAllah, we had a fantastic discussion with Dr. Sayyid Ammar Nakshawani. Thank you to all the viewers for joining us and supporting us. A quick reminder that this is a crowdfunded channel and we cannot do this without you. And inshallah, if you guys could support and donate, we can have more and more sessions and more programs with Dr. Sayyid Ammar and with other speakers as well. And last but not least, the gala dinner, inshallah, will be at the end of this month. For those of you who are interested, please visit our website, www.imamhussein3.tv. And inshallah, all the information is there for you to book your ticket. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome my special guest here tonight, Sajid Ali Din. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam rahmatullah.
And I believe you're going to bless us with some of your own works, your recitation of your poetry. And inshallah, please begin with salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. This is a poem in response to those who ask us why we say Ya Ali. When told you're Shia, you worship Ali, I reply Ya Ali and give them this answer. When I say Ya Ali, moves a mountain within me. When I say Ya Ali, moves a mountain within me. Already I'm a lover, but I learn a lesson greater. When I say Ya Ali, it's a feeling like no other. The heaviest of hearts with these letters will shudder. When I say Ya Ali, I know nothing can go wrong. How can I go wrong when I mention the universe's dictator? When I say Ya Ali, it's not polytheism or disbelief, because he was the one born in the house of the Creator. When I say Ya Ali, don't look at me and frown. I'll return the frown I learnt from Haydar. When I say Ya Ali, nothing is impossible. I could move from its place, the world's crater. When I say Ya Ali, there's no doubt in my mind. Bring forward every scholar and every debater. When I say Ya Ali, the whole world understands. There's no need for an explanation or a translator. When I say Ya Ali on the day of his birth, the angels say it with me as they circle their master. When I say Ya Ali, from the heavens comes a roar and succumbs to coolness, even hellfire. When I say Ya Ali, I remember his sword. And I remember he left every duel a victor. When I say Ya Ali, in their graves his victims shake, victims from Uhud and Hunayn and Badr. When I say Ya Ali, never am I scared, for the one who I rely on blew down the door of Khaybar. When I say Ya Ali, I see beside him a woman. And what is Ali without Fatima al-Zahra? When I say Ya Ali, I see a warrior and a husband of this balance. Like his justice, only Ali the supplier. When I say Ya Ali, I'm reminded of his family with so little. How is it he was the best provider? When I say Ya Ali, I ask Ali through his servants for the sake of the dust under the shoes of Qambar. When I say Ya Ali, it's because that's what I was taught by his mother, his wife, and even his brother. When I say Ya Ali, retreats the bravest of evil, for he was every messenger's protector. When I say Ya Ali, this is all I need in any plight I face and any disaster. When I say Ya Ali, in my mind something appears. It's as clear as his position and it's just a number. When I say Ya Ali, I see in front of me a line. It's straight and upright. I'll show you with my finger. When I say Ya Ali, all I see is one. One man and teacher, one imam, one leader. When I say Ya Ali, I mean only Ali. And not maybe Ali and maybe some other. When I say Ya Ali and I'm asked, what about the rest? I respond with a question that makes them wonder. When Muhammad said Ya Ali, where were the so-called others in his time of need? In running away, was there anyone stronger? When I say Ya Ali, it's a statement I'm making. Never will this name change, for there's no one better. And when I say Ya Ali, it's a challenge I'm announcing. Find me someone else who Ali's secrets could deliver. Sallallahu ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Ya Ali,
Yeah.
mashallah, mashallah, fantastic. Sajid, brother, tell me, what's it like celebrating a birthday of the Imam in your community? What do you guys get up to? Is there a big function? Is there like decorations and lights, poetry recitals?
I think I come from the Khawaja community.
MashaAllah.
From Haydari, obviously Sayyid Ammar, know
Big
all
up
about
Haydari,
him.
must
Right, Haydari. But I think, to be honest with you, I think from my experience of celebrating with other cultures and other communities, I think we tend to do it a little bit more formally. I think we tend to tone it down a little bit almost. And I think there could be some sort of more hype around it, especially with celebration of Wilada of the Imam alayhi salam. But obviously attending a function at the mosque and celebrating with family and with friends and with the community is something I've done ever since I was a little kid. And I think it's something I owe a lot to my parents for sort of bringing me into that kind of that realm of things and sort of encouraging me to be a part of that, both celebrating and commemorating the happiness and the sadness of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam.
MashaAllah.
So, a personal question. You mentioned how, well, I mentioned it, but we've had this discussion as well, how some of the later Imams are neglected. And do you think that's the cause as well for why we don't celebrate as much as well?
Well, I think Sajid alluded to the fact that each community has their own temperament, and their own cultures. Some communities have different traditions and what things they're more passionate about than others. He mentioned that the community he came from, the Khawaja community, may not celebrate as openly as others, but at least they're there in the mosque. Iraqis may celebrate, very vociferously and passionately, but when it comes to Imam Al Jawad or Imam Al Hadi or Imam Al Askari, many of their youth and many Iraqis in London in their 30s and their 40s probably did not attend a lecture this week on Imam Al Jawad alayhi salam. So where do we balance it, Someone might go to a Khawaja center and he might say, well, there's no clapping, but at least there's people there.
Yeah.
And someone might go to Iraqi center when it comes to Imam Al Hussein's wilada and it's packed.
Yes.
Ab al Fadl, it might be packed, but then when it comes to, for example, someone like, Imam Al Rida alayhi salam, you might find that multi-million-pound mosques in London are closed. So I do believe in the importance that we reach our goal of celebration, but let's also get these mosques full. There are some mosques in northwest London whose doors were closed on the Shahada of Imam Al Hadi. There was no program. And I don't know how we're going to start celebrating when firstly we need to have people in the mosque. So each community is at a different stage of their journey. Some have stagnated. Others are,
Like a thunder.
swimming against strong tides and, you know, and waves and so on. And others are doing very well and are trying to find their feet of expression at the moment, yeah.
I like the way you said the feet of expression, because my next question was for Sajid, was like, you know, poetry and using that to express your love for the Ahlul Bayt and using that, you know, even to celebrate the Ahlul Bayt. Do you find it easy? Do you find it difficult? And also, do you find it's the best way maybe to you know, commemorate and celebrate the Ahlul Bayt?
Alhamdulillah, I feel like poetry is something that I find quite easy. I think it comes to me naturally. And it's really funny because I was terrible at English in school, right?
Wow.
Like bad, like really bad. To the point that my sister still makes fun of me that she did better than me and stuff like that. So it was never something that was natural to me. It never came naturally to me. But I think I wrote 1 or 2 poems on Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Muharram. And I was given the opportunity by some amazing brothers at mosque to present them to the community. And from there, it just kind of skyrocketed. So, alhamdulillah, yes, I find that it's kind of my way of expressing my love, I suppose, for Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. We do the little we can, and the poetry that I write is not from me. There's no way that words like this can be coming from someone like me. They're definitely from something higher above. But alhamdulillah, I'm lucky to be able to share these with people like you. So, alhamdulillah.
So we're proud, you know, we're proud of Sajid and others in his generation, you know, who have either emerged as poets in the line of the likes of Da'b bin Ali al-Khuza'i, or they have emerged as lecturers and khutaba or dhakirin, or they have emerged as television presenters like yourself, or they've emerged in one way or the other in their service to the Ahlul Bayt. Service to the Ahlul Bayt does not only come in those who receive the limelight, but there are many who don't necessarily receive the limelight, but they do a lot of great work behind the scenes. And so when I'm seeing the youth, especially at the Haidari Islamic Center, which remains, you know, the top center in Europe when it comes to programs, and you know, long may it continue. Yeah.
Inshallah. Sajid, brother, you got one more poem for us, I
one
believe?
more, inshallah.
Inshallah, please.
Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma
salli
salli
ala
ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
It's not the gold at your shrine's door, O Ali. It's not the gold at your shrine's door, O Ali, that we adore. Nothing raises your beauty. It's you that decorates your gold door. And when someone asks what we gain by walking through your gate, if you want to reach God, there's no way but through Ali's door. Gold, Ali's more. Kaaba made pure. Everything's pure through Ali's door. As far as an eye can see, where its vision ends, he starts. As far as the eye can see, where its vision ends, he starts. His legend read in books, but use the vision of your heart. Life is a race to Ali, and who reaches him is saved, because from the shore of his ocean, Hussein's ship will depart. On Ali's shore will be for sure heaven's bliss insured through Ali's door. And with numbers they try to deceive he who controls 24 hours. With numbers they try to deceive he who controls 24 hours, by whose face the moon is lit and whose mind the sun empowers. For him seconds turn to minutes and turn weeds into flowers. And when you call him number 4, at you the number 4 scowls. 4 on the floor, look away, for only one can pour through Ali's door. So when you rise an animal, stand before you will Ali. Wajhullah yadullah Ali. Aynullah Sayfullah Ali. Dhul Fiqar in his right hand, and Fatima in his left you'll see. And he'll say to you, whoever hurts her, hurts me. Her right you tore. Now hear Haydar's roar, down to hell's floor, through Ali's door. In heaven among the names taught to Adam was Ali. In heaven's streams will be written his name, and each valley. To those who question whether his Shia will be happy, on that day even your fate will be decided by Ali. To Najaf we saw, by him I swore, heaven I saw through Ali's door.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. MashaAllah, great poetry, fantastic. Say that, any final points please for the viewers as we wrap up?
And final points would be just, raise your children on the importance of wiladas, kushalis, shahadats. the nights of happiness and the nights of celebration. A lot of the success of these children will come in being in that wonderful atmosphere. And if we as a community all get together with our different backgrounds, then there's a lot of good work to be done. And hopefully I look forward to seeing everyone on Monday night when we continue the Eternal Ethics show here on Imam Hussein TV, as well as to the gala dinner, which I'm really looking forward to at the end of the month, where we can all get together and continue to build this channel and serve our Creator, inshallah.
Awesome. Sajid, brother, any final points from you?
It's been an honor being here. Thank you for having me. I'd just like to say quickly that we're living in a time that it's really important, with everything going on, to hold on to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. I'm lucky enough to be inspired by the likes of Sayyid Ammar and others at Haydari who kind of forced that on me, and people like me. But for some people it's not as easy. And I think it's important with celebrations like this, and also istishhad and events that we can remember Ahlul Bayt, to make use of them, make most of them, and try and hold on as much as we can to this blessing from Allah that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you for our viewers. And Ramadan will not be complete without a question, and we have one question and one question only for Dr. Sayyid Ammar, if you would allow me. From familiar face, Minal Khafaji, who says, Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid, lots of love. One question for you, Sayyid. Are Liverpool going to be lifting a golden trophy at the end of this season?
Should be two.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you to Brother Sajid. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us on tonight's special show. Dr. Sayyid Ammar will be back on Monday at 7:30, inshallah, as he continues his series. See you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
have a duty towards the preservation and the propagation of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Indeed, one of the best ways to work towards the reappearance of Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif is through promoting the values of Karbala. Imam Hussein Media Group is the only Shia television network that broadcasts globally in 5 different languages: Arabic, Farsi, Turkish, Urdu, and English. We are appealing to the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam worldwide to support the channel such that it may continue its global operations. Imam Hussein Media Group is seeking 1,000 partners to pledge to a £14 contribution per month. This will allow the channel to sustain its operating costs as we continue to spread the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in multiple languages across the globe. You be a part of this great legacy and donate today. You can pledge in 2 ways. www.imamhussein3.tv/donate will take you direct to our donation page where you can pledge monthly. Or you can call or WhatsApp us on 0044 793 9917163. Imam Hussein TV, your gateway to Karbala.
very blessed to be in the holy land of Karbala. Please pray for us and pray for everyone who do wish to go.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I want to pay my respects to Imam Hussein and Maula Abbas from my parents, and I would like you to recite salam and ziyarah for Imam Hussein and Maula Abbas on my behalf.
السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين وأولاد الحسين وأصحاب الحسين وأنصار الحسين لبيك يا حسين لبيك يا غازي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته
وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.
Bro, I don't even know if it's halal or haram.
Bro, you know I'm trying to ask my parents about this stuff.
Bro, do I look like a scholar to you? There's stuff that I don't even know about. Where were you?
Hey, I just came
Why are you
back.
so late?
Hold on. Guys, to talk haram again.
Yeah, man.
Guys, I came across this thing called Akkad SOS.
No
It's an
way.
IPTV, yeah. You can go on your WhatsApp, type any question you want about your name on it. That's mad, is it?
Wait. You're trying to tell me I can ask any question without mentioning my name?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't need to feel embarrassed when I have a question to ask.
Nah, don't worry. Go on WhatsApp, type your questions in about your name.
What time does the show start?
It's 6:30 p.m.
I'm doing it.
Come, let's go. Watch it.
Cameras are ready? Yes, I'm ready.
Live, yeah?
Yes,
Facebook?
Stream's ready. Stream's ready. Zaid Mahsin, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, get ready. We're gonna go live. Okay, we're gonna play intro. Playing intro. You got 5,
Going live.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Crane, you are live.
Cue.
I am the sun, the star at the center of your universe. I am a wondrous threat made of hydrogen and helium, marveled by poets and artists alike. Come too close to me, and you will be scorched. Go too far away, and feel the bitter coldness of space. It is I who allows you to see with such clarity, yet such is my brightness that you will lower your gaze at my majesty. You complain of my absence when I hide behind the clouds, yet can hardly bear my gaze when I return. At least for you, you may seek refuge under a shady tree, or feel the cool water refresh your dry throat. But let me tell you of a dryness with no relief. Let me tell you of a day in which I was in anguish, wishing my rays would not touch the skin of Hussein. If he had looked up to heaven, I swear God would have put out my light forever. But he struggled and drew his last breath upon the earth that I had scorched, and under the sky which I smoldered over. In agony, I wanted to weep. I wanted to rip myself from the inside, all around